out this master guitar board. Again, save it when you get it. And essentially, once we have it, it's going through a few stages here of effects. So first of all, we have kind of this master guitar board that have these two chains right here. Wait, something in the chat. Yes. So we have these two variations here, which will jump between these two chains. This is our master pedal board, all of this. And here we have just a tuner. So if I click on this and all of this, you can MIDI map them if you want. So let's say, let me right now keyboard map them to my keyboard 1 and 2. So I can click 2, it's muting everything, and now I can tune it. Okay, can tune my guitar. Excellent, and then go back to my pedal board. Sweet. Awesome. Now we're starting off with just a utility audio effect track. And this is going into our guitar setup. So we're trying to emulate a real-world guitar setup just with Ableton effects by first going into a pedal. This is kind of like a booster, overdrive, distortion, fuzz pedal, all in one. Here we can change that from clean. And I'll show you how to make it even cleaner. Okay, you can map all of these. When you go to the MIDI mapping mode or the keyboard mapping mode on the top here, you can also map the up-down. If you don't want to map them individually as kind of like effects triggers, you can also map up-down. So I can just scroll between them if you want that. Kind of next, previous next. But you can also just map the individual ones to launch them. Now, before we go on to the amp and then to the cabinet stack, I'll talk about that, the stacks. Right here, we have this preamp. And I made it, I call it balanced. It's not, the true definition of balanced. But what it is right here, you can see it's turning up and down the gain before or after before the pedal. So the less I do, the cleaner the sound. And more distorted the sound, because we're driving the pedal, the amp, and the cabinets more and more. So this is kind of like emulating a preamp with our gain, but I also added a one at the end here that is mapped to the same knob, the same one here, just so the overall volume is somewhat the same, whether you're more clean or more drive sound. Okay, so this by default is on 50, but it really depends how hot you're coming in with just your guitar, how much you turn it up on your audio interface, your guitar, all those options, how hot you come in, so you might have to turn it up or down, but this is kind of the initial tone control for a cleaner sound or more drive sound, okay? Nice. Then we're going to the pedal, like we mentioned, if you want more kind of this Ableton's pedal. Then we're going into modulation effects. So again, before we go into the amp, we're trying to think of a guitar setup, just like we would in the real world. And we might first go into like a booster pedal, just to bring some clean gain. And then we'll go into maybe some modulation effects. So here we'll have a rack for all of these modulation effects. Each one of these chain is a modulation effect. And how I set it up, if you guys are not using chains yet, is each one of these chain is kind of like a different track, a different audio track. And each one of them has its own effect. The first one doesn't have any effect. It's just the clean dry signal. I can open up the chain list right here, and we can see that each one of them is on a different zone. I then map this chain selector to a macro, right here, this effect selector, and I recorded these variations that we can very easily jump between different effects. So we don't really have to see this. We don't even have to see this. Just see this. And of course, everything is mappable, so you can map it to your pedal or your MIDI controller, or even automate it. I'll show you how you can automate those as well if you want to include it in your performance / arrangement. But now I can just click on the chorus. I have chorus or phaser. Wah wah. Okay, maybe we'll go. We have flanger, tremolo, and vibrato. You can change this by just deleting them and adding whatever plugin you want and whatever Max for Live effect, whatever it is, incorporate the multi ones and even add more, okay? More effects. You don't even have to see this. Eventually, you just see this. So we have our pedal going into the modulation effects, then going into the amp, okay? Now, the amp also will change a tiny bit its settings according to the amp combo. The amp combo is the pedal and the amp and the stacks. Sorry guys, we had some stuff in the chat. Jay, I'm gonna send you. You know what? Before we're done today, so you guys can already play. Remind me before we ending. I'll just send it in the chat. You know what? Why am I even waiting? Here, guys, you want to play with it? But let me go over it so you can, because there's a lot going on here. But Jay, I hope you have Ableton Live 12. Here, it's in the chat. I posted in the chat. Okay, you can download it. Nice. So we have the modulation effects, kind of like our guitar pedals. Going, and by the way, if you want to incorporate more guitar pedals in a chain, you can just take this, duplicate it, and then you have a chorus going into a phaser. Then duplicate it again, going into a wah-wah, whatever it is. Okay? You can combine multiple ones. Why did I ruin it now? What happened? There we go. Okay. I don't know why it was that. Sweet. So the amp, just Ableton effect, and then we're going into the cabinet stack. And this is with the Ableton effect cabinet, kind of like the big speakers that we're going into, but it's a stack that we can combine in all sorts of ways. So the cabinet audio effect allows us to choose what type of speaker are we using. One speaker of 12-inch, two speakers of 12, 4 of 12. Those are the stacks kind of that you see on stages, the big ones. Where we place our microphone, the type of microphone, and if it's mono or stereo. So I have a stack of 3 here. Those two are panned, and you can play around with it however you want. You can even load your other cabinets. I'll show you some free plugins. You can stack even more. It's just kind of part of the tone. And that's one of the most beautiful things about a guitar. It's so customizable, the sound, the tone, that you can get your own sound by just kind of doing your own type of combination of the amps, the stacks, the cabinets, the effects, all of those. So this is the cabinet stack. You can, of course, change that if you want. Okay? And we don't even have to see this. We can fold those. We can fold this. Nice. Oh, go ahead.
Could you speak a tiny bit on the condenser, the little options that we had right there for each of the stacks? I never really understand what that is, and I don't hear much difference.
Yeah, let's look at it. Guys, I'm going to take out my buffer size because I think that sound is because it's going... Here we go. Okay, so let's do this. I'm going to... actually, what I'm going to do is we're going to just load... I will talk about this effect just a second because these ones you can also get for free, all these guitar pedals. Let's load a cabinet here. Let's load the amp first. And then a cabinet. So, and maybe I'll record something just so we have something to play, so I don't have to play it live, so we can play around with the effects. And that's what I would recommend doing. Just record or take a loop if you want to learn more about what each effect does, so you can just play with it, okay? Let's record something. Okay, and I'm just gonna take this. Let's loop that. I didn't even do it with the metronome, but doesn't matter. Let's loop that. Make sure we're playing from arrangement. Here we go. I don't know if we need this. Sweet, so here is the amount of speakers and their size. And you'll hear them having different tones. Here is where we place the microphone near, on axis, like in front of the speaker, off, near, like off, next to the, diagonal to the speaker. More muffled sound. And far away. Condenser, like a very sensitive microphone. Or a dynamic, a microphone that as closer it is, the louder the recording gets. and of course stereo, or dual, like two microphones or one. But the idea, at least with Ableton's cabinets, is to stack them. You want to duplicate, change it, different setting, duplicate, change it, maybe pan them. And then you're starting to get into more interesting guitar tones. So when it comes to Ableton's cabinets, I'll show you some plugins, but Ableton's cabinets, stack them. Okay, stack the cabinets. Is there an option, Harung, is there an option to print the effect when recording, or will the effect always be post-recording? So that's a great question. I would say two answers. When we're right now in this version, you can, if I want to print this effect, let's say I like this, I want to print it and continue, I can right-click, freeze and flatten. That will be printing the effect into the audio. Okay, so now we have it printed. Okay, so now it's printed into the audio, and we can continue and work in and add in more and freeze and flatten. In the new version of Ableton 12.2, we're going to have, this is going to be called bounce in place. There's not going to be any more freeze and flatten. It's going to be called bounce in place. But we're also going to have an option called bounce to new track. So that will open, let's undo. We're back here. We're going to open up a new audio track. Going to, and it's all in one command. Going to freeze this track, or not freeze, bounce this track, copy it here, and then unfreeze it and deactivate. So bounce to a new track is exactly what we're looking for, because we can keep what we had. We're going to get a new track with the bounced material, with all the effects printed, and we can continue working without losing what we worked on before if we want to go back and change things. This is coming very soon in the new 12.2 version. Okay, so freeze and flatten. So for live, Harung, so for live looping, we would need to record to a new track to render the effect in real time. I'm going to talk about that next, actually. We'll see that. Yes. Yes. If you want, there's two options I'll show you with the live looping. You can leave the live looping clean and just apply the effects in real time, or record with the effects. I'll show you. Ron, once downloaded and opened with live, where in the library is the pedal board found? Good question. So once you download the, let's go back there. Once you download the master guitar board, call it whatever you want. I just thought it's a good name, because that's like, I just load all my effects are here. You load it up, okay? First you have to load it up in Ableton, then you click save right here. Click save. It will ask you how you want to call it whatever you want, hit enter. For me, I'll have to overwrite it. I'm not going to do it right now. Nice. And you're going to have it under the user library, presets, audio effects, audio effect track. But you don't even have to go there all the time, because you can just go under audio effects and it's going to be under audio effect track. But you can just search for it, master guitar board. Here it is. You can also add it to one of your collections right here. It might be called the name of the color for you. If you want to just add them to your kind of favorites. Okay, you can also put them there. Alternatively, you can create a folder on your computer, put it there, and add it to a folder to Ableton, so you have your presets here as well. Also another option to load Ableton presets. Okay, let's go back it here after we finish with the cabinet stack. So again, stack your cabinet effects. Stack them. That's how a good way to get a nice sound with Ableton's built-in effects. I wouldn't say just one amp and one cabinet might not do it, okay? Compared to all the commercial plugins or even real world. Sweet. After that, let me delete this and we'll arm this. Nice. After that, we're going into another pedal board of creative effects. We can think of them as rack effects, like studio effects. So first we have the dry. Let's open it up so we can see it. We have the dry. Second, we have the octaver. Octaver is just adding an octave lower. But, okay, I want to introduce you to a free collection of Max for Live pedals, which are amazing. And in my opinion, the octaver there is much better than this built-in one that I created with the grain delay. It's a built-in effect in Ableton. So this is what you need to do. I gave you a link right here. Where is it? Right here, under Max for Live, RNBO, Rainbow Guitar Pedals. Okay, you go here, they will explain what it is. But let me show you how to download them and add them to Ableton, because you have to add them manually. If you have Ableton Live Suite, you can get all these guitar pedals. Look at all these guitar pedals. Look at all of these. All of these. And they're all awesome. You have a looper, limiter, some really great stuff. Like, let's load the... someone mentioned guitar synth even. I'll load it in a second. I'll just fold this. I'll keep this. But let's load like... you have a tuner, tremolo. Let me arm the track. Do I need to go back to our dry? Here we go. Okay, here you can change the color. So all of these are free guitar pedals that are really close to analog. Like, they're really great. Freezer, look at the freezer. Let's do auto freeze. Can we do auto? Just an automatic freezer, which we kind of don't have in Ableton. So all of these are free guitar pedals. Really great. Phaser. Awesome stuff. So I didn't include them inside the guitar pedal board, but in fact, I would probably change this with this octaver. With this octaver? Because it's so much better. Let's go to our octaver. Let's do mix. Probably 100%. Awesome stuff. So let's see how to get them inside Ableton, because you have to do a couple of steps. Okay. If I need to remember, actually, I'll add here a short guide, just like with step by step. Add guide to install RNBO. I'll add it before I send it to you. Whoops. Let me deactivate this. So what you want to do is just load any max effect. Doesn't matter, like an empty one here. They don't even have to be an empty one. Let's go this. Let's open this. No, but we don't have them yet. I'm going to load an empty max MIDI effect, let's say. Then I'm going to click and I'm going to open up the max editor. Everyone have this if you have Ableton Suite. Let's give it a second to open up. It's going to open up the max patcher. Here it is. We're going to go right here under File, Show Package Manager. We're going to search in the search, guitar. And we're going to find these Rainbow guitar pedals. And you want to download them. Instead of launch, it's going to show download or install. It's going to click install. Great, you installed it. Then I'm going to go show in file browser. Here are all the files that are coming with this package. And we need to scroll down. You see, it says live device. That's what I want. Whichever one, live device. Where it says live device. Right click, reveal file. Here they are on your computer. Once you install this package, you can close this now. You can close this. I want to take all of these and move them somewhere so I can see them in Ableton, so I can just load them. You see from right here. So for me, what I did is I went under User Library, Presets, Audio Effects. I went to Max Audio Effect, right here. I right-click on Max Audio Effect. I created new folder. I call it RNBO Guitar Pedals. Then I just took all of these guitar pedals and moved them right here. Just drag them there. And that's it. And then you have them not only, like we said in the master guitar board, not only under your user library, I can now also see them under the Max for Live category, and I can search for them. So now you have all these awesome guitar pedals that are really great for free. So that was just a side note, because I would probably, just because I didn't want to use them, the RNBO, until you install them yourself, you can manually change them. I would use this octaver over the grain delay. Ableton doesn't really have a built-in octaver, and this one like the grain delay has tiny bit of latency. This one, it's like immediate. It's like